And welcome back to the Happy Hour. Dave Feldman, Kelly Johnson, and joined by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. And boy, talk about something right in your wheelhouse. This is good stuff because we have a new tax law.
A very exciting time in our lives.
Thanks to our president, Donald Trump, and nervous time.
Trying to figure this out.
If you are a multi-million-dollar athlete, a la LeBron James, Roy McIlroy, Steph Curry,
Kevin Durant.
There are many of them. If you make millions and millions, is this new tax law good for you or bad for you?
It's good, and also depends how you're going to set things up. For example, do you set up a company and the company earns it rather than you, in which case you pay tax on 80% of your income instead of 100% of your income. That's a big area that we're working on right now. That makes a huge difference. If you're sitting next to your neighbor who's self-employed and you're an employee, you'll pay tax on 100. He'll pay tax on 80 if he otherwise qualifies. And there's a lot that you have to deal with in there.
Now, Forbes' list of richest athletes has some very familiar names on there. LeBron James, of course. But locally, we do have Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Andrew Luck. And we're not just talking about their salary, but their endorsements and all the other forms of income that they collect. And some of these guys don't live in California year-round. So how does this all affect what they pay and how much
That's also very important because California wants to tax them at 13.3%. So what they want to do is, if they can, establish residence someplace else and then say, okay, look, that income isn't subject to California. That's something that companies do and wealthier people do.
But what if you live somewhere else, Nevada, Texas, with no state income tax?
Sweet.
But your paycheck comes from the Golden State Warriors, which is a California company.
Again, you're looking at what games are you playing in California, what games are you playing outside of California, and your other earnings, like the endorsements. That's the whole idea with the allocations, because we do that for clients all the time, and businesses say, well, wait, this doesn't belong to California. This belongs to Nevada.
Now, we keep hearing, obviously, this is helping the rich get richer in a sense. President Trump stands to gain tens of millions of dollars himself. But what about businesses? And I know there's a big difference between corporate and your small business, that it's actually going to help. But in terms of your franchises, and you have your most valuable franchises ranked by Forbes, and the Dallas Cowboys are #1, the Yankees, and then, of course, you see locally the San Francisco Giants, they're at #9, over $3 billion. How does this affect, the 49ers, sorry, how does this affect these franchises?
Again, if they sell them, it's going to affect the sales price, and also with the operations, what they're looking to do is saying, okay, how can they set things up? Not to mention, we haven't even talked about overseas, where some of the things like products and other things you might set up overseas company, like Apple does, and they make all this money, they don't pay any tax on it.
You don't pay any taxes on it?
No, Apple is making bouquet. And also, if you look at those eyes open up, look at the Fortune 500. Most of the Fortune 500, who makes billions with a B, they don't pay taxes. Why you pay taxes?
Why is Apple charging so much for their products then? Come on, give us a break.
Because they don't pay taxes, like most of the other Fortune 500. Ah, yes, there's a real difference between individuals and businesses.
Why does my iPhone always drain? The battery drains so quickly. Oh, that's not
so they can sell you more products.
I got you. That makes sense. Does it matter if you're a Californian, does this new tax law, if you're a Californian athlete, is it better for you than if you were an athlete in another state? And I know you said you can claim you live somewhere else. But
no, not claim. You have to really live there.
Okay.
Claiming is a crime. We don't want to do that.
Actually live somewhere else.
Okay.
Is it better to be in California than, or does it matter?
It's better to be in a state that doesn't tax you, but again, at some point, some of the guys, when they make so much money, it gets to the point where it doesn't matter. It's like if you had 2 Infinities, would you really have more than if you had 1? It's a big difference. Once you get to those gigantic numbers, it's a whole different ballgame.
It's a whole other world for you guys. I mean, I'm driving a Mini Cooper, the Teslas and stuff. It's a whole other world for these two.
It's like the movie Wall Street,
right,
where they say to Gordon Gekko, how many jet skis can you water ski behind, right? I mean, how many boats do you need?
How many boats do you need? For some, a lot. Now, what about in terms of some of the changes like tax write-offs for things like moving expenses when you change jobs, or with the Raiders soon to be moving to Las Vegas? Is there going to be a big change there in the tax law?
Yeah, the problem is when you lose those kind of things, but they're the smaller deductions. The ones that really hurt are like the state and local taxes. Although what the states are trying to do now, they have these different bills where they're trying to say, well, change the tax to a charitable contribution, that you're making a charitable contribution so you deduct it. That will not work, and here's why. A tax is something compelled. A charitable contribution is up to you. So the bottom line is, if California truly change it to a charitable contribution. If you didn't pay, there'd be no enforcement against you. Try not paying your California taxes.
Right.
You'll be giving me a quick call because they'll come and drag you away.
Yeah, I'll be in jail. But for
Not
the
if
Raiders,
I'm representing you.
Thank you. But for the Raiders, obviously, their move is
Nevada, that's good.
It's going to raise the franchise's value tremendously. One, in part, because they don't have the state tax there.
Sure. That's a tremendous, I mean, California, we're talking about 13.3%. That's a huge amount of somebody's income.
It makes me angry every time.
If you make $20 million a year and you get taxed that, and you go somewhere else and you don't get taxed.
No, I came here
on
from
13
Texas.
Oh.
I mean, the amount
But you
of check
don't-
that I collected in Texas, no state tax in
But
California.
you didn't make
Yes,
$20 million a year, did you?
Yes,
No, but
your
you
expenses
feel
were-
like you do when you get your final paycheck.
But your expenses were less in Texas, so you got a double whammy.
I got the double whammy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I got hit up every side of the head. I know.
I know.
It's.
Welcome
I'm
to
still
California.
recovering. I'm still recovering.
You never will.
Steve Moskowitz, we
Always
appreciate the time.
You're not in Idaho anymore, Kelly.
No, I'm not.
Thanks,
or
Steve.
Texas.
Always a pleasure.
And is Cargo or McCutcheon going to be in San Francisco? We'll do a little baseball talk, and we will also discuss when it is okay to grab on a beard and when it is not to yank out whiskers.